Hi friends, this is Coach Dave Daubenmire at newswithviews.tv at newswithviews.com. Thanks for tuning in today. I just returned from Pensacola, Florida with a group of friends of mine, and we went down to stand with our friend, Dr. Ken Hovind, who's on trial in Pensacola, Florida for the charge of mail fraud. I think it's important that I give you a little bit of information that's certainly been misreported in the press. And anytime you do a Google search or anything like that on Dr. Hovind, the wrong information comes up. Let me make this very clear. Dr. Ken Hovind has served 100 months in jail, not for tax issues. You'll do a Google search and they'll say that he's a tax protester or a tax evasion or whatever. Dr. Ken Hovind has spent 100 months in jail, 8.5 years, for the issue of structuring. And just recently, the Commissioner of the Internal Revenue Service, John Koskinen, just came out and issued an apology to Americans all across the spectrum for having misused the idea of structuring in seizing bank accounts. If my recollection is correct, it was like 127 people across America last year who had their bank accounts seized because of charges of structuring. So it would be important for us to understand what structuring is. It was a policy that was put in place to help law enforcement deal with drug dealers who were trying to launder money. And the law said that anytime a cash deposit of $10,000 or a cash withdrawal of $10,000 was made, it had to be reported to the IRS. Well, people began to get around that by taking out less than $10,000, maybe $9,500, which is what Dr. Kent Hovind did. Now, there's nothing illegal about doing that. It is his own money. He would go to the bank and he would take out the money, $9,500 a week, maybe, and pay the people that he owed money to, pay the expenses of their ministry, of the people who worked for him, instead of having to do 1099s or whatever was involved with that. Well, the IRS put together this policy based on structuring, put in place specifically for drug dealers, and that is what they charged Kent Hovind with, was structuring, not tax evasion. He never evaded any taxes at all. And then to top it off, folks, after Kent Hovind, over a period of several years, took $9,000 a week out of his bank account to pay his bills, he didn't stuff it in a pillow or under a mattress. It was his money that the ministry had earned. After Ken Hovind had amassed about $434,000 in withdrawals over the period of time paying his bills, the IRS said, listen, because that money was involved in structuring, that money belongs to us. And they tried to seize $434,000 from Dr. Hovind. And of course, he didn't have $434,000 because why? They'd spent it. They'd paid it. They weren't trying to hide anything from anybody. So Dr. Hovind, when he was put in jail, then they went about the idea of trying to seize the property to come up with the $434,000. And what Dr. Hovind is on trial today, folks, he is not a tax protester or a tax evader. What Dr. Hovind is on trial today for, and I consider it piling on, is what they called mail fraud from jail. Now, what he did was a perfectly legal action, filing court actions from jail. He's done that for the 8 years he's been in there, trying to get himself free. He filed a motion whereby he put into the file of his properties a legal document saying, listen, this property is still being contested. This is not a free and clear property. And so when they would do a title search, someone wanted to buy his property, they'd do a title search. This letter would be in there saying, listen, there's some debate as to who owns this property. Buyer beware. You're buying some property that's still in dispute. Perfectly legal that he did it. But because the judge had told him to stop doing that, stop filing the reports, to stop filing the appeals, they found him in contempt of court. So Kent Hovind is in jail, or is in court today for two things. Mail fraud. Listen, folks, if he had taken that filing and he had hand carried it to the courthouse, it would not be mail fraud. Do you understand that? It would not be mail fraud. But he couldn't hand carry it. It had to go through the mail. And issue number two, he has the right to appeal while he's in there. But they're also charging him with contempt of court because he continued to exercise his God-given right, his American right to appeal. The First Amendment says the right to petition the government for a redress of grievances. That's what Kent Hovind has done. Folks, he is not a tax protester. He has not refused to pay his taxes. They have seized $434,000 from him already, which was not their money to begin with. And now they want to put Kent Hovind in jail for an additional 20 years. It's amazing. We had the opportunity to be in the courtroom, spent 3 days down there in support of Dr. Kent Hovind, and just want you to know that I believe that the charges that they're bringing against him right now are nothing more than piling on, trying to put him in jail for an additional 20 years. I would request that you'd pray for Dr. Dino, pray for Kent Hovind, that justice would be served. So more than anything with this video, I want to clear something up. He is not a tax protester. He's not in jail for tax evasion. He's not in jail for not properly paying his taxes. He's in jail for a process called structuring, which was designed to be used to combat drug dealers. Is that unbelievable? Pray for Kent Hovind, that justice would be done in his case. This is Coach Dave Daubenmire at newswithviews.tv, at newswithviews.com. We'll see you next time.